So welcome to Webinar Wednesday. Today we're going to be talking about creating custom columns. My name is Jonathan Howard again, here with the Rev User Group in San Diego, California. So first, a few updates. There is a new version of Bluebeam out. It's 12.5, so it is a bit of an upgrade. There are some neat features that we're going to be covering in future webinars. So if you see a feature that we're covering that you want to use and utilize in a future webinar, go ahead and talk to your IT support, and they can go ahead and get you upgraded there. So let's go ahead and get started with how to create custom columns. All right, so first I'm going to go ahead and open up a file here. Close that real quick. And let's see where they put her. There. Okay, so in Bluebeam, it is possible to, if you haven't experienced it already, we have this section down here, which is basically it's almost like an Excel spreadsheet. So it has lots of different things that you can do with it, and we're going to talk about how to customize it a little bit today. So first off, if you'd like to, you can go ahead and actually move these columns around. It's just like an Excel spreadsheet, I like to say. It works very similar to that, so you can move all these columns, make them bigger, make them smaller, however you please there. So that's kind of neat. It's great for tracking different items. So first of all, it does track all your items that you do make. So as you create a markup, so let's say if I have a text box here and I want to say A, B, C, D, and it's going to actually track that right down here. As you can see, this is highlighted. Okay, so then you can go ahead and change the properties via that box there. Or what you can do is you can find a text box. Let's say I want to go to this guy here, and I can click on that, and it'll actually take me right to my text box. And again, just like an Excel spreadsheet, it gives you miscellaneous data here, and we're going to talk about really customizing this data. So that way, when you do have a comment, you can go ahead and actually see what type of comments are there. So first off, we're going to look at some tools up here. We do have filters, which allow you to filter your comments. We're not going to go too into depth with that. You guys feel free to play with that. If you guys have more questions, suggest it on our next topic, and we will go through it. You also have summaries. This is another thing I get asked about quite a bit, and we're going to probably do for a future topic on how to do a PDF or an Excel summary. If we have time at the end of today, I will show you a quick summary for it. Okay, so first on our columns is how we can actually use them. So we have all these different columns here. Everything with the check marks is actually turned on. You can actually see it. So for example, if we go to our subject here, actually let's go ahead and use the, where is it, color, there we go. Okay, so if you look at the color column and we go ahead and click that, it's actually going to disappear. So that's how you can either show or hide columns, depending on what you want to see there. And again, there's lots of different uses for them. One thing that you do have to watch out for are your X and your Y. If those are measuring distances on the page, so you want to make sure that you know where that's coming from. Same thing with width and height. X and Y and width and height are going to be two different measurements. So be careful on those dimensions if you are using this for estimating at all. So to go in and actually customize your columns, if you go to this little properties tool here, we can actually, again, display our column and we can actually move them around. So this is how you would move your columns. So if you want your page index a little bit closer to your subject, you can go ahead and move that. Let's see, are people having trouble hearing me? I have a little note here that says that they may be. We'll go ahead and write in if you guys are having trouble hearing me. Okay, so back to our columns. So you can actually move your columns around depending on where you want them. So nice and customizable. And you also have this reset button here. Got to hit that. And it basically goes back to a default. So it'll take all of your columns and it'll basically just go to the user default. So whether or not you want to do that. So to customize them, this is what everyone's here for today. You can do that in this little custom columns setting here. You can go ahead and add columns that you want, and we're going to do a mock sheet to show you guys how to add them here. And you can actually choose the type, so what type of data field. So if you want to automatically populate, such as a distance or a time or a date, it'll go ahead and do that for you. You could also have it do comments and names and drop-down menus. So it's pretty much limitless. Just like with pretty much everything with Bluebeam, you could actually import and export this type of custom column set to your whole entire team. So if one person creates it, they can go ahead and shove it out to everyone. So feel free to use that. You could also save them to different profiles, and the profiles are, of course, that's the little blue guy that's typically at the bottom of our page here. It's actually right here, this guy. So that is our different profile settings. So let's go ahead and I'm going to cancel out of this. And then after we talk about how to customize those columns, we're going to go over here to managing statuses. I'm going to show you guys how to actually change statuses around. So if you have punch, for example, that's what this particular sheet is set up for, punch list. You could actually go ahead and automatically assign different statuses. So then when I actually right click on this and then go to change status, I could say subcontractor in progress. It's going to tell me that automatically, change the color. It allows me to filter easier as well as see visually what's going on. This is a cool little one, little new feature of Bluebeam. That's actually a picture embedded into the comment. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's open up a new sheet here and create some custom columns. So first off, I'm going to go to my columns here, and I'm going to click on my properties, and I want to create a custom column because as you can see here, there are actually none of them. So I'm going to go ahead and say a new column, and I'm going to call this just RFI. Now we have different text box or different types that you can choose from. So you can choose from a check mark. So it simply checks it. Yes, it's been done. Yes, it hasn't been done. However you want to use the checks. Choices, where you actually add different choices, and this is like a drop-down menu, which is great. A date, so you could automatically populate your dates here, and you can see lots of formats. Sorry there. Lots of formats to choose from. Okay. A formula. This actually works a little bit like Excel. Our next webinar, we're going to do some, go a little bit more into depth in this and how we can use it for estimating. And you can actually populate square footages, and it'll do your calculations for you, all the math. Specific number, always good. Again, this is more for the estimating, and it'll actually sum it up for you as well. Or you can do a text box, even a multi-line text box. So you can write a whole paragraph there, or you can just write a small comment, depending on what you want. For today, let's go ahead and let's just choose text box. Okay, and we're going to go with a single line. All right, so then we're going to say OK to this, and we're going to actually display order. Let's make sure that it's checked in here. It is checked, so it's going to be at the very end. I'm going to move this way up, though, so that way it's a little bit easier to see without having to scroll everywhere. So that's going to be moved a little bit towards the top. All right, so it's going to go ahead and put it right over here in this second column for me. So I'm going to say, OK, there's my RFIs. So now, when I actually go in and want to make a comment, so it's going to be associated with this guy right here, this line item. And now I can go into my settings here, and you'll notice that there's another special one. I'll just move my screens around. I'm not going to bother with changing my appearances. But under the custom, you have RFI. So that's a data field that I put in. So I can go ahead and put RFI number 001 if I want. Now you can go ahead and create as many of these as you want. So if I wanted to then, let's say, put a date in as well, I can go to my custom columns. I could add another one. And let's say I want to have a date. And I want to do that. Default none. Let's do default today is current. Oops, sorry. Okay, and again, I'm going to go ahead and change my display order. Let's go ahead and move this closer to the top. Just makes it a little bit easier to see for our purposes today. All right, and then if we click on our comment, you can see it automatically populates to today's date. So that's pretty cool, and then I could suggest it or change it if I want. So very, very user-friendly. And now whenever I make another markup, so let's say I have a line here, I can put an RFI number associated with it as well as the date that it's modified. Again, you can do this however you like, and I'll show you a little bit more detailed sheet in a sec, the previous sheet that we were looking at. Okay, so moving on, let's go ahead and talk about how we can customize and manage our statuses. So on our statuses, let's see, looks like I have a few questions. One sec, let's look at the questions, I think. No, no questions? Okay, let's look at our statuses. So on our statuses, we can actually change, we can actually add something so that way it automatically changes for us. All right, so if we go to, let's go ahead and add a new one. And let's, again, stick with our RFIs. All right, so this is basically just creating a package of which you could assign your associated values, such as review, you have accepted, ejected, canceled, completed, or none. RFIs, we're going to create custom things here. So let's go ahead and let's create a complete. And here we could actually have it say a text box. So let's say it's going to say done. So now whenever I click on something, assign it a completed status, it's going to go ahead and say done. A color, so let's say I say green for go. That's good to go. And let's do another status of none. We'll say it's a new item, so we'll just type in new, and we'll keep it red. So red means it needs to go ahead and do so again. All right, so we're going to go ahead and save that, and our default is going to be, this is a cool feature, so whenever you put a text box down, it's going to automatically default to a status, whether it's going to be nothing or it's going to be something. Is up to you kind of thing. It helps when you sort later on. So we're going to go ahead and say my default is none. Okay, so now when we look down here at statuses, you can see they're automatically defaulted to none. And if I actually change my status, you can do this in a variety of ways. One is go ahead and right click on, or double click on here. You could say complete, and then you can see it changes my text box automatically to done. The other one is to right click on here, go to status, and say, let's say none. And it also gives you a little history of what's going on, so that's kind of neat. For an arrow, all it's going to do if I go ahead and change my statuses is it's going to change the color. It's not going to change any text because there's no text there. So it just changes your color as a visual reference. Very useful there. Let's see. Okay, so that's basically how we're going to be creating our custom statuses here. Statuses don't have to associate, they don't associate with your properties over here at all, so there's nothing new there. So let's go back to our first sheet that I was referencing beforehand. And this is a punch walk, and let's go ahead and look at some of the things that we have that have been set up with this. So if we look at our custom column like we did in our last sheet, you'll notice that there is a lot more stuff here. So we have the assigned number of the specific item in question. We have any RFIs associated would be assigned here. This particular one, you assign whose court is it in. So whether it's in the contractor's court or if it's in the, in our case, the joint venture because it's at the airport, if it's in their court. So who needs to follow up on the item. Any JV comments here, so what was wrong with the item. Subcontractor comments, that typically we actually put in when we expected it to be done or how long it would take. So we had a general idea for a time frame. So we said 1 day. We asked them for an estimated completion date, so that was a good date we put there. and then a created date, so we know how long this item has been outstanding, and eventually it would be signed off as well. The level that was in, and you can actually have level automatically populate, which is kind of cool, using spaces. So when you put a comment in a space, it automatically puts it there. And then just some other miscellaneous data. So with all that, you basically create this nice sheet down here, and you are able to then go by, and let's say you wanted to go ahead and filter. You can either use color or statuses. I suggest doing color. And red means it hasn't been touched yet. So there's nothing around here that's red, so that means we're good to go. If we look at orange, then oops. Okay, that's not filtering correctly. Let's go ahead and just clear all of our filters. Okay, let's try this again. And it's not doing it again. All right, so I'm not sure why that is happening exactly, but you are typically able to filter, and you can filter out a specific color that you want, and basically only that color will show up. Everything else will turn gray. So it'll turn image grayed out, which is kind of cool. So very, very useful tool again. I think it has something to do with the webinar. Sometimes Bluebeam and the webinar don't like to show up together, so I apologize for that, but trust me, it does work. That's the first I've actually ever seen that issue going on. Okay, so does anybody have any questions on how we can customize columns in Bluebeam to make them a little bit easier, more user-friendly? And let's see. Yes. Okay, one question here from Ryan. Can you have multiple states active? You can have multiple states for different, such as for different comments, yes. So such as this is a different state and this is a different state, but you can't have multiple states at the same time active. Yeah, it's just a select one type of thing. So good question there, but yeah, only one at a time. Any other questions? All right, well, if you guys don't have any other questions, how do you set up a space? That is what we just covered, I'm sorry, spaces. That is a great suggestion for the next webinar. That's going to take about 10 to 15 minutes additional to answer that question. And if you would like, you guys can go onto our Rev Users website right here. You could then go into our training videos. And let's see if it'll work for me. Sorry, I have to log in again. Okay, so, and we go to our webinars. We can then go ahead, and this will be updated with this webinar, so if you guys want to reference it. And then if we go back to our Bluebeam if you actually go over here to the right-hand side, suggest a topic. So how do we go ahead and do spaces is a great topic to suggest down there. Please take our survey. We like feedback. We try to improve these things, so the more feedback we get, the better. And if you guys don't have any other questions, we will cut it off here. Thanks for coming in, guys, today. And I'll hang around for a couple more seconds for more questions if you have any. So, Jonathan, bring in the question for how do we do spaces. That'll be a good upcoming webinar. All right, everyone. I'm going to be logging off here. Have a good one. Thanks for coming, and have a great day.